Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're back in the Cold War Europe again as we're trying Overflight by Historic Wings once again on this Wings Wednesday. This one, as I mentioned earlier, was set in Cold War Europe as we're flying spy missions for the U-2 CIA squadron for the Soviet Union, or against the Soviet Union. Now, I was fighting with this earlier, as you might recall if you were watching the earlier stream of this game. So when I took my little break, I went and watched a video on it, and it seemed like I was doing basically everything right. I was just fighting with the system a little. I think I wasn't trusting myself was the main problem I was having in that game. So now we're going to give this another go. Once again, we are going with our historical squadron as I'm learning the game. We've got Richard Bizzle, so he's going to need 5 command chits. I'm still going to use the actual chits for the time being. 3, 4, 5. He gets 6 influence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And 6. And 3 tech chits. 1, 2, 3. The pilot we're sending out on tonight's mission is going to be Francis Gary Powers again. He's got 9 of everything. Let's see, that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Moxie. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sixth sense. And 9 pilotage. Which there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pilotage. Okay. All right. Yep. We are going to roll a D36 for our mission. To do that, we're going to use black as our 10s, white as our 1s. And a D3, 1 to 2 is a 1, 3 to 4 is a 2, 5 to 6 is a 3. So in this case, that is going to be a 13, which means we're going for 1956-02. Okay, so when does it... So roll pilot, mission pilot, aircraft. Okay, we'll roll for the starting weather at the alternate. Primary destination is always clear. Actually, we've got to figure out what our route is. 1956-02. Oh, yikes. We're going to be over threat territory right off the bat. So I'm going to get a marker for that. So I'm going to grab... Actually, I'm going to grab blocks this time. Thought I had a set of blocks right here. Actually, we can do it this way. We'll grab mini dice for this, so I can trace the path here. So we're starting with... We got mission 2. We're going to be starting from Wiesbaden Air Base. Then we're going right into Berlin. Berlin is right away a high threat area. Then we've got Poland, also a high threat area. Then we're going into Hungary, which is back here, 4. Then we're going over the Adriatic Sea, 5. Then I believe it's going to be southern France. Yep. Southern France. Then we're back into Then we're back over to Wiesbaden trying to land. Right? Yes, that's our primary destination. Our backup is Laeken. Our backup is RAF Lakenheath. That'll work. I got those marked. It might be fairly hard to see the marks, but I do have dice on the spaces. That'll help me also keep track of the sequence for everything. So I've got that marked off. I'm going to use something different as a bookmark. Okay, those are the missions. We have to roll for starting weather. So that's starting weather at the alternate destination. Starting weather is a 2. It's windy. Great. So windy is going to end up right there. All right. Now I've got the option to replace the pilot, which I'm not going to do. Optional reroll. I think I'm fine with that. Actually, I must fly all missions in 1960, so we're not there. Let's see. We're playing 1956 again. Reroll the mission, which we're not going to do. We could have a meeting with Eisenhower, but I'm not going to. So now we need to set the fuel and the altitude starting. Given that we have 5 stops that we're trying to make, I think I want to take 7 fuel. I'm going to bring a little bit extra in case I get detoured. So we are going to start with 7 fuel. And we're starting at 67,000 feet. We're taking U2A out. All right, now we have to roll for takeoff. Just to make sure I have nothing crazy happen, I'm going to spend 2 pilotage chits, just so I make sure nothing crazy happens here. That'll give me a +2 modifier on the takeoff roll. That's a 6 plus 2 is an 8. Actually, we didn't even need the chit, so we are off the ground. So we've got a good takeoff. So with that being said, we adjust fuel and altitude. So now we are up at 67.5. I need the U2 marker on the board. So now we're lifting off from Wiesbaden and we're moving into Berlin. So first we need to roll to see if there's an event or not. Just make sure that didn't freeze. Just like before, we'll use the green and red die to determine if there is an event. If it's a 1, 2, 3, we're going to pay attention to a D66 roll using black as 10s, white as 1s. Actually, technically, I think the way you're supposed to do this is you're supposed to roll individually for the event. That's a 3, so we will have an event. That's in Berlin. Now we'll roll for the D66. And I'm going to spend... Let's see, I could add a +1 to the 10s die for a 6th sense chit. I'm going to keep the 6th sense in case I need to move around. That's a 22. I might regret that. PR camera failure. Oh joy, we've got a no PR VP earned for the entire mission. We've got an RTB to the nearest primary. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so now we have to try to land this thing. Landing is somehow not probably a separate landing roll. Let's see, that's combat SOP. Is the landing roll just assuming we get on the ground? No. So there is a landing. There probably is a landing. So that's SOPD that we need to get into. Here it is. So first we have a landing. So basically, so the camera went out. I'm going to spend... we're not going to worry about... Actually, we are going to spend 2 pilotage chits just to make sure nothing crazy happens on landing. That's a 9 plus 2 is 11. We would have had no problems whatsoever. Okay, so we don't earn any VP from the mission. So actually, I think we're gonna just go out again, because I really do want to try to push some pieces around on this mission. I want to get a good mission in, but I'm going to take that as part of the story because that can occasionally happen. So a new mission coming up. I'm going to stick with Francis Gary Powers in a U2A. So let's roll for our mission once again on a D36 roll. This time it's a 16. So we're going to be flying 1956-03. I'll get the waypoints for that. 1956-03. Actually, that looks very similar. So we've got Berlin, Poland, Minsk. So Berlin, Poland, Minsk, Leningrad, the Baltic States. Let's see, the Baltic States, Denmark, we'll loop back there, and then trying to land at Wiesbaden. Wiesbaden again, Baden, our alternate once again, is RAF Lakenheath. Okay, so we've got all that set. Let's see what our start is going to be. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stops. So I'm going to start off with 8 fuel. So we'll start off at 66.5. We're going to get 66,500 feet. All right, so we've got takeoff. Takeoff is once again a 2d6, and I'm going to spend 2 pilotage chits just to make sure nothing goes wrong here. I didn't want them to fan out, though. There we are, 2 pilotage chits to add a +2 to the roll. Six plus 2 is 8. That's a good takeoff. So a good thing I spent the 2 chits to get off. Actually, it didn't really matter. Okay, so now we're moving over. So now we're moving over to Berlin. We'll see if we have an event in Berlin. A 3 says we do. Let's see, an event in Berlin. And this time, oh, I did have a Moxie chit I could have. Let's spend a 6th sense to add a +10 to the tens digit. +10 essentially. So a +1 to the tens digit once again. A 16 going up to a 26. Political requirements dictate cancellation must RTB immediately. I'm going to spend a Moxie chit to re-roll that because I want to actually get a mission in tonight and actually get some more practice with combat. A 14 is pressurization problem. Apply altitude 65,500 chit. So emergency descent required. So we're down to 65. We're down to 65.5. So what I'm going to assume with that is now we can't move. I'm pretty sure that means we can't move above 66.5. At least that is what I'm guessing here. Let's see. I'm looking. I'm looking to see if there's something on here about the 65.5. Shit, if that means we can't move up above that level. I'm pretty sure that's probably what it means. But so yeah, that's what I'm going to go with here, that we can't move above that level. So we've got the 65.5 chit. We also need to roll for threat, though. So we are coming all the way down to 65.5. We do need to roll to see about the threat. So we're looking at... So Berlin's a high threat area, I'm pretty sure. Berlin is a high threat area. So hopefully we roll high on the... Hopefully we roll high. 7 to 12, we stay off Soviet radar. That's a 6, so of course we're not going to stay off of Soviet radar. We've got 6 MiG-19s coming at us. Alright, so I'll get 6 MiG-19s. This is the part I was really second guessing. So we'll get those out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay. So we'll roll for the attacks. So I've got my combat diagram all set to go. We've only got MiG-19s. So the MiG-19s are D6 plus 3. We'll use the black die for the row, white die for the column. Alright, so that is going to be 5-4. So 5-4. And that is going to be... So... row 5, column 4. I'm just going to make a note here. Actually, I think I got that backwards. Yeah, I got that backwards. So black is row, white is column. Okay, looking at our current situation, that would be a ramming roll of a 3 or less. I think I'm going to bite the bullet and take that. So if we roll 3 or less, we get rammed. Which we do not, but that was close. All right, our next roll coming in is row 5, column 3. So 5-3 from where we're at, we're 2 up, left 1. That'll be nothing. Attack 3. All right. Row 5, column 6. Row 5, column 6. That does nothing. Attack 4. 3, so 5, 5, which 5, 5 is right here. That one would have a ramming result of a snake eyes. Yeah, I think we can roll for that. And we're fine there. Okay, we've got attack 5. That's a 9-2. So 9-2, that one's way too high to do anything to us. And the last one is 5-6, but we have one there already, so we have to roll again. 8-4. So 8-4. That one's way too high to do anything to us, so we will get away from that. We'll clear all of this off. MiG 19. And then that's the thing I need to check. I'm assuming if we end up with that shit, we can't move any higher than that. So I think the fuel marker just moves up. So I'm going to grab those. So now we're stuck at 65.5, but our fuel is going up as we are headed for Poland. Poland, we'll see if we have an event in Poland. We don't have an event in Poland. But we do need to roll for threat. Poland is a high threat zone as well. Yikes. Poland is a high threat zone, so we're rolling to see if we get anything coming at us. And I think, yeah, high threat right here. Once again, we want to stay off Soviet radar, which we do that time, so no event. Off radar. Very nice. Now we'll expend another fuel, and we'll head over to Minsk. Minsk is probably a low threat area. Minsk is a high threat area, actually. First, let's see if we've got an event. We do. So let's see what event we've got coming at us here. I'm going to spend a sixth sense to add a +10 to my tens digit. That's a 4. That'll turn into a 46, which will be unexpected fuel efficiency. Next round, don't move the fuel marker on the fuel track. Nice. But we also need to see, as Minsk, we established Minsk as a high threat area, so we do need to roll on the threat table. Hopefully we can stay off of Soviet radar once again. That's a 9, so we do stay off of radar again. Next we are headed into... Next we're headed into Leningrad. Oh boy. To modify a line from Enemy at the Gates, this city bears the name of the original boss. And Stalingrad, speaking of that, is actually not in the game. So let's see what's happening over Leningrad. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts Leningrad is high threat. And it is. Not a shock there at all. We'll see if we have an event coming at us first. We do. I'm going to spend another sixth sense to add a +10 to the D6 roll, or the 10s roll on the D66. That's a 62. 62 says calming weather. On a 1 to 3, we move the weather at the primary 1 space left. 4 to 6, we move the alternate. We move the primary 1 space left, so we've got clouds. We've got to see about threat assessment, though. Leningrad we established is a high threat. Leningrad we established as a high threat area. Come here, dice. 11 keeps us off Soviet radar. I'm surprised we're staying off radar for being... I'm surprised we're staying off radar for being stuck so low. But I won't complain. We are moving up to the Baltic States. Okay, Baltic States are a low threat area. First, let's see if we've got an event. We do not. And on a low threat area, we want a 6 and up. Yep, Baltic states are a low threat area, so we want a 6 and up on 2d6. That's a 9, so we're off radar again. Now we're moving over to Denmark. Denmark is a no threat zone because Denmark is friendly to the Allies. Let's see if we have an event over Denmark. We do have an event over Denmark. We're just going to roll this straight. A 16 sounds like trouble. Oh geez, we got PR and SIGINT failed. Electrical failure. Right, PR and SIGINT failed. And we have to RTB immediately. So we're returning. We're able to get back to Wiesbaden, and we've got plenty of fuel for that. We've got windy weather there. So we're going to be looking at windy weather is giving me a -2 die roll modifier on the landing. Nine minus 2 is 7, so that's still a good landing. Okay, so let's pretend that we didn't have the PR and SIGINT rolls fail. So let's go through actually PR and SIGINT. That is for the okay, so I'm just going to check the procedure for PR and SIGINT. So this looks like diplomacy and politics is where we're going for. Okay, so multiple rolls may be made to determine if there are any. Okay, so we're rolling separately for each. Okay, so we're landing. So we landed. Debriefing. For each waypoint flown, roll on D2, reconnaissance value, to determine for each waypoint. So we're looking at reconnaissance. So we're looking at total all PR and ELINT VP for all waypoints flown. So our waypoint, so for Berlin we had 20 potential PR VP. I'm going to roll for this anyway. And we roll, alright, that's a 4, so we get all of it. Or we would get all of it. Berlin would have been 20. Alright. Okay. Then we've got Poland, which Poland would have given us a total of 40 CP of waypoint VP. Wait, what's the, okay, so that's PR and quality standards, and so quality of the captures, okay. Alright, so we're rolling for Poland, which is a total of 40 VP. We get all of it. Or we would get all of it. Again, I'm pretending that we didn't have the electrical failure. Next we'll have Minsk, which will give me a total of 30 VP. A 2 says we're going to lose some of it. 2 says we're going to deduct 10. So that would be 20 for Minsk. For Leningrad, we could get a total of 80. We will get all of that for Leningrad. Baltic states could give me a total of 30. And we would get all of that as well. So that would have been a total of 170, 90 VP. 100, wait, that can't be right. Hold on. PR. So for each waypoint, there are 3 actions. Roll for and total up the PR and significant intelligence. Be sure to apply the quality of... Okay, so right, we did... Okay, so we did roll for that. So then we've got the... Next thing we've got to do is that's landing, debriefing, accidents and incidents. So that's going to be on this table. Looks like a 2d6 roll. Hopefully we roll a 5+. We could expend a tech chit, but we won't need to. A 6 is no accidents. Now we've got to roll for on a mission where you flew over a Soviet-controlled waypoint. We flew over 4 of them. We flew over, so we've got to roll for each Soviet-controlled waypoint. So we're starting off with, so we roll for each separately. Once for each. Okay, add 2 for every influence chit expended. Okay, so we're starting off with Berlin on diplomatic protests. Starting off with Soviet controlled. We've got a... Okay. So Berlin, a 2, would be a diplomatic protest. So dip protest. Next up we had Poland, which is also Soviet controlled. Also a diplomatic protest. Minsk is also Soviet-controlled. Wow, also a diplomatic protest. Yeah, because I think Leningrad and the Baltic states are both also Soviet-controlled. Yep, Leningrad and the Baltic states. We're probably going to catch a lot of heat for this one. 5 is a diplomatic note. And for the Baltic states, also a diplomatic note. Okay. All right, so now we've got to roll for each diplomatic protest or note. Let's see what we want to do here. So we're rolling for each protest and note. So let's roll for Berlin's protest first. I think we roll for every one of them. Roll for each separate. Oh, so if we flew over. Actually, I don't think we roll for each one individually. Landing and debriefing. Diplomatic protests. So if you flew over. Okay, if you flew over one or more Soviet-controlled waypoints, roll once. Yeah, that seemed like it would have been way too punishing. So it looks like we just have the one result. So diplomacy. We have a diplomatic protest. I'm not surprised at that in the slightest because we did have to fly over. We did have to fly low. We had a failure very early in the mission that basically forced us down low. So now we're going to expend a. So now we're going to expend. Those chits probably last for the campaign. So let's go ahead and just roll straight. I wouldn't want to spend a command chit this early on the first mission. Actually, an influence chit. All right, that's an 11. So the diplomatic protest would be addressed. Protest addressed. Okay, and then we don't have campaign game end. So, yeah, I think we... Let's see, so campaign game end. The campaign ends when you lose a U-2, either having it shot down or crash land in the Soviet Union or the East Bloc, and the pilot is captured. Okay, so... Yeah, it looks like... So yeah, since we didn't have the plane shot down, the campaign game would continue. And that'll do it for this playthrough of Overflight. Definitely, actually, now that I had some time to figure it out and went and watched a video when my first playthrough was over, I actually enjoyed this. I actually enjoy this game a lot. So we'll probably be seeing more of this on the channel, but I'm rambling at this point, so let's go ahead and wrap the video up. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing yet tomorrow, so you'll have to stay tuned to the channel for that. As for what all is scheduled, Saturday, Mystical Munchies will continue out of the Corleone family cookbook as we're making the entree, Shrimp Scampi. Sunday morning, I'm not sure what we're doing yet. I was doing Arkham Horror, the role-playing game, but I'm thinking I'm going to reschedule that video, so stay tuned for what I decide I'm going to do tomorrow, or for Sunday. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.